And then Google Drive, let's not talk about it, okay? Let's just not talk about it. And welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, thanks for stopping by. My name's Tolu, and on this channel I share content all around personal finance, budgeting, frugal living, and I show you how to live your best life on a budget. If you're a returning subscriber, thanks for coming back to watch another video. It's amazing to have you here with me again today. Right, so in today's video, guys, what we're going to be doing is a budget recap. So I'm going to be talking you through my budget that I set myself for March 2021. If you haven't seen that budget, I'll link it in the description box below, and I'll also link it up here as well so that you can watch it after this video. But in today's video, I'm going to talk about how my spending went in the month of March versus what I had planned to spend in the month of March. So if you watch that video, you'll know that my March budget, when it came to groceries, I had already spent quite a bit of it before the month even began. So before I'd recorded the video, I'd already spent quite a bit of my food budget. So let's see how I got on in the month of March in terms of how much I said I was going to spend on groceries versus how much I actually spent. And also in the other spending categories too. Last month was a very low income month for us, so we had a really tight budget. You'll see it anyway when I go through the spreadsheet, and I'll show you how much we were going to spend for the month of March, and then I'll show you what we actually ended up spending. So you can see how my budget went for the month, and I guess it can give you kind of ideas and inspiration when it comes to your own budget and setting a budget and actually keeping track of your money on a daily, weekly and monthly basis. So if you don't yet have a budgeting system in place, the spreadsheet in which I'm going to be walking through is available in the description box below, so you can grab your own copy and you can use it for your own budget and for your own numbers. But without further ado, I'm going to jump into my March budget recap. Okay, so starting off here, we have my March 2021 budget. First of all, let's take a look at groceries. So I think when I recorded the video last month, I had spent about 150 of my £250 budget, even more than that actually. I think I had spent like 160, 170. I can't remember. I'll put it on the screen how much I actually spent. I basically had less than £100 for a family of 5 to survive for the remaining 3 weeks of the month of March. So with that being said, you can see that I went over my groceries budget by £48.36, which I'm actually not too upset about, to be honest, because like I said before, we had spent so much of it before the month began. So the fact that we only went over by £48 is actually quite good, so I'm not going to complain about it at all. Moving on, we got takeaways. So with takeaways, we didn't budget any money for takeaways, and in actual fact, we did end up getting a takeaway. We ended up going to McDonald's drive-through on one of the days in the month of March, which is where the £19.88 came from. So that's actually not bad if you think. A family of 5, we spent £20 or less than £20 in the month on takeaways. Like, that is definitely not nothing to grumble about. And then moving on, lunch, we didn't allocate any money and we didn't spend any money on lunch. So in total, our grocery budget came in at £318.24p. So that was 27% over budget, which is not bad. It's bad, but it's not the worst, to be honest, given where we were when I did the actual budget walkthrough. And so then moving on to our home category, and our home expenses were pretty much bang on the money. We ended up paying our mortgage on time with no issues there. Mortgage overpayments, again, we already said how much we were going to spend in the March budget walkthrough video, and we didn't end up overpaying any more than that because there was no extra money left in the budget. So if we had had any excess money left over in the month from the budget, then we could have possibly put more money on the mortgage. But as it stands, we were over budget, which you'll see later on in this video. So there was no room to be overpaying any more than what we had said we were going to do at the beginning of the month. Moving on to council tax. Council tax came in at £132. So all in all, our home expenses were bang on the money, £1,245, 1 pence. And then moving on to the next category, we have utilities. Now, utilities came in again, bang on the money. So we spent £50, 15 pence on water, £20 on electricity and £90 on gas. So that was topped up as we planned. So yeah, that was bang on the money. Now this is what a zero-based budget should look like. The estimated and the actual should be in sync and should be the same, but as you can see, sometimes it doesn't always go according to plan. Moving on to giving, and I'll quickly scroll past that because if you've watched any of my budgeting videos before, you'll know that giving is something that I like to do, but it's not something I like to expose the exact amounts of which I'm giving. But yeah, that is something that we like to factor into our budget on a monthly basis. I can say though that the amount we said that we were going to put as giving is the amount that we did do for giving, so there was no over giving this month or anything like that, so that was good. Then moving on, we have subscriptions. So subscriptions were pretty much accurate. So TV license was as planned. My husband's mobile phone bill came in slightly under by £1.77, which was good. Any penny saved is always a good look. My mobile phone bill, I under budgeted. So my mobile phone bill I put as £30 when I should have put it as 40. So that's why it looks like there's a £10 underspend or overspend, should I say. And that's because, yeah, my mobile phone bill is actually £40 a month. So I do need to change that for the April budget. And then moving on, we've got internet. So internet was £26. Canva, that fluctuates on a monthly basis because it's paid in dollars. So depending on the exchange rate, it could go up or it could go down. And then Google Drive, let's not talk about it, okay? Let's just not talk about it. So in total, our subscriptions came in at £116.94 for the month. And then moving on to transport, we have petrol that was £70 that we estimated, and we ended up spending 40. And that was an intentional thing. We didn't fill the tank up to the top, we filled it to £40. So that's over half a tank of petrol, which is more than adequate to last us for the month, because we're not really going anywhere at the moment as it's still the lockdown season. And that extra money I thought could kind of offset some of that overspend that we did with the groceries, like I mentioned earlier. So yeah, so we ended up putting £40 instead of £70 in the month of March for petrol. And then we got a couple of expenses. So we got maintenance, £2. So that was air in the tyres of the car. And then we also had parking, and that was £2 because I went to the market 1 week this month and I had to pay to park at the market. So all in all, our costs for transport came in at £44.01, which meant that we were £25.99 under the budget. So that was a good little savings that we made there. Moving on to fun and entertainment, and if you saw my budget walkthrough video, you know that we had a very sad fun budget for the month of March. But with that being said, we didn't go over on that spending category for myself, my husband, or the children, which was good. In fact, the children's money didn't actually get spent, so I've just kept that in their account. So it means that the money that we allocate in the April budget can be added to the money saved from March. My fund money, actually, I think I spent my fund money on McDonald's this month. So yeah, that's where that £8.68 ended up going. And then the change, I just kind of put in my account. So again, that little £3 I had left over, that will roll over to my spending money that I have for the month of April. So all good in the hood. So yeah, that was fun and entertainment. So then moving on, we have insurance, and insurance was life insurance. That was £46.74 as budgeted. Moving on to childcare, and we didn't have any childcare costs for the month of March. I mentioned that in my last budget walkthrough video, actually, that I'm not going to remove it from the spreadsheet. I'm going to keep it on there because although we don't currently have any childcare costs, they are going to be coming up very soon. We actually had a discussion the other day, my husband and I, and we're looking to put my youngest into nursery in the month of May. So in the April budget, it still won't have anything for childcare, but come May, we're going to have a cost for childcare in there. So yeah, watch this space. So moving on, we have miscellaneous, and we had a few miscellaneous costs actually creep up in the month of March, and I think that was my bad for not allocating any money to miscellaneous, because there are always going to be some expenses that come up that you haven't planned, that you haven't factored into the equation. And yeah, it's good to kind of have a little bit of a buffer in the budget to factor in for those incidences when they arise. But yeah, I didn't do that in the month of March, which meant that we ended up overspending slightly when it came to miscellaneous. Every miscellaneous expense that hadn't been factored into the budget kind of had to be added here under the miscellaneous category, which meant that it kind of threw our budget off, and we ended up overspending by quite a bit, which you'll see very soon in the spreadsheet. So we had a few random house expenses that arose, which were £30. We also had a car expense, which was £15. I don't know what that car expense actually was. I'd need to check with my husband, but just know that there was a £15 car expense, and that's why that is on there. And then the kids expenses, we had a £20 expense for the kids, and I can't for the life of me remember what that was. But again, it was something that we had to pay for the children, and that came up to £20. So all in all, our miscellaneous expenses for the month came in at £65. So not the worst that could happen, I guess, but it's still £65 that we hadn't budgeted for, that we ended up spending, which we now have to pay back. Moving on, we have our debt, which is my husband's tax bill, which is £91.12. Again, if you watched my March budget walkthrough video, you would have seen me explain what exactly happened. That's something that we're now going to be paying for up until the end of the year. So yeah, £91.12, that went out as planned for the month of March. Then moving on to savings, and we had sinking funds at £55.80 and then an emergency fund at £55.80, and that went out as planned and as budgeted. As I mentioned earlier, if we had any spare money left over at the end of the month, in addition to increasing our mortgage overpayments, we would have been able to add more money to our different savings, but there was no extra money. In fact, we were in minus, so we weren't able to increase it. So those were the amounts that we were able to send to our emergency fund and to our sinking funds in the month of March. And then finally, the final category we have is investment. At the moment, we invest with Vanguard, and our investment for the month came in at £55.80. So if we go to our account balances, I can actually show you, hold on, there we go, exactly how much we overspent. Sorry, so I'm just unfilling the cells so that you can see where we're at. So as you can see, we came in at minus £114.08. So that means we overspent in the month of March by that amount of money, and that basically means that in the month of April we're going to have £114 less to play with. So that's what happens when you overspend your budget. That money needs to be put back, which is why it's so important to stick to the budgeted numbers. But at the end of the day, life happens, things don't always go according to plan. But the beauty of having a budget and having a plan is that you can see where you've gone wrong, you can see the error of your ways, you can see where you can make make modifications and you can change things for the following month, which is exactly what we're going to be doing for the month of April. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel, because one of the next videos that's going to be coming up is going to be my April 2021 budget walkthrough, where I share exactly what my spending plans are for the month of April. March was a great income month for myself and my husband. Because we made a bit more money, it means that we were able to do a lot more with our budget in the month of April. If you want to see how we're planning to spend our money for the month of April and how we're planning to allocate the additional income that we've been able to generate in the month of March for the month of April spend, then definitely subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so that you're notified every single time I upload a video, so you'll know when that video comes out and you'll know when any other video from me comes out too. But that's literally it for this video. It's probably shorter than the usual videos that I do on my channel, but I just wanted to give you guys an update of how my March spend went. So if you made it this far in the video, then that tells me to some extent you must have enjoyed the video, I hope. And if that is the case, do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet done so. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and I will see you on my next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.